Good morning, guys. So today is the day that we are putting together all of our hard work. Like I said, we're going to do since Monday. So today's objective, function notation 2 points to identify the graph. So one thing, well done class. To quickly review, we have correctly learned how to use functional notation to create outputs from our input and the rule, the equation. We also learned how to write coordinates of a point, x, y, from the functional notation with an input. So that means we are ready to see the fruits of our labor. And just fruits of our labor is just another fun way to say we're ready to see how our hard work is paying off. Looking here, we have the work from our past 2 days, working with the rule f of x equals 2x plus 1. So you guys are really familiar with this equation. This is exactly what we've been doing. And I went through and I grabbed all of the inputs that I gave you, the outputs that you generated, as well as the coordinate pairs that you created. So this is everything you did in the past 2 days, and really great job. I'm really proud of your work. So looking here, we have these points. So what would these points look like if we could graph them? Well, I did that for you. So here we have all the points from this function, f of x equals 2x plus 1. And we see all the points generated. Please note we're missing 5, 11. Oops, I got carried away. 5, 11, and 6, 13, because they just don't fit. This is a 10 to 10 to negative 10 to negative 10 graph. So those don't fit. But you will see all the other ones. Let's make sure and check. We have -5, -9, -4, -7, 0, 1, 1, 3, 2, 5, and we have 3, 7. So that is everything up here. So looking at this, we see a shape immediately. It looks really familiar, right? That's right. It is, in fact, a line. So if you look at that equation, so I'm going to scroll all the way back up, we have f of x equals 2x plus 1. Well, remembering that f of x is the same thing as y, this is a y equals mx plus b equation, which is the equation of a line, which is why we got a line. So this is the function of a line. And here is that line. Also remembering a couple weeks ago, we talked about the vertical line test. So this line passes the vertical line test because at no point, if I were to draw, you can see what I'm doing with my scroller. If I were to draw vertical lines, up and down lines at any point across my purple line, it would only pass through my function once, which means this in fact is a function, which you guys knew because I told you it was. So each input has x, has its own output, and I'm going to add to your notes, which is the y. And that's what makes it a function. So today we're going to be setting up a table just like this, because really going back to the beginning of the year, at least with my class, I don't know what Mr. Clifford's class has done, we did a lot of tables like this because this is exactly how the Regents presents it. So let's look at how I'm expecting you to generate. So one, we have a new rule. We have f of x equals -3x plus 2. I set up the first one already for you. So we have x equals -2. So that's f of -2 equals -3 times -2 plus 2. Simplifying it, we know -3 times -2 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. So f of -2 is equal to 8, which means my coordinate, the -2 coming from the given, and the 8 coming from what we generated is -2, 8. Now let's work on the other ones together. So we have f of -1, and we have equals -3 in parentheses, -1, substituting with the parentheses, plus 2. And let's figure out what f of -1 is. And I'm going to show you one easy peasy. So I've given you decimals a couple times. I'm going to attach it to your work again. So you highlight the equation just on the right, you copy it, you bring it to decimals, you paste it, which you can also do this way. Paste. It'll have paste there, but I already pasted it. And it'll give you the answer. So the answer is going to be 5. Go back. It's going to be 5. So that means my point is -1, 5. Let's work on the other one now. So we have f of 0 equals -3 times 0 plus 2. This is one of those situations I really wish I was in class with you guys because I have to switch the page and try to remember this. So it's -3 times 0 plus 2. I'm going to show you the other way to use decimals. So -3 times 0. See, you guys would remember this. Here I am struggling. it's going to equal 2. So I'm going to bring that over with 2, which means that 0, 2 is my, 0, comma 2 is my point. Next one, f of 1 equals, then I have my -3 original from the equation, in parentheses the 1 plus the 2 again from the equation. This I'm going to talk out loud to you guys. So we have f of 1 equals -3 times 1, so that is going to be -3, plus 2 is going to be a -1. So this one's going to be 1, comma, -1. My x and my y. Last but not least, f of 3 equals, equals -3, all the typos, guys, times 3 plus 2. So that means f of 3 equals -3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11, which means that, open parentheses, 3 is my x and 11 is my y. Next, we're going to be looking at which of these graphs you're going to choose. Choice A, choice B, or choice C is actually representing what I just did here. Now, I'm going to give you a hint. We are going to look at 0, 2. 0, 2 is just kind of the easiest one, 0 on the x, 2 on the y axis, just a really good indicator. So this is also the y-intercept. So remembering from graphing our lines earlier this year, this would be the y-intercept. I'm going to show you 3 different ways we can think about it. So first way is to actually just look at all the points. I'm going to hone in on the 0, 2. So looking at my options, I have a 0, 2, a 0, 2, and a 0, -2. So I now know this is not it. Choice C is not an option. So I'm going to erase choice C. Now I have these 2. I have a line going up and I have a line going down. Well, this should ring some bells too. So remember the M means slope. So is this a positive slope or a negative slope? Well, reading it from left to right, just like I read the word choice, I see that it is going up. So this means it's a positive slope. In choice B, reading it left to right, just like I read choice, is going down. So this is a negative slope. So let me go back to my original equation. The M is -3. So that means it's going to be a negative slope. So my answer is going to be choice B. There is another way we can do this. So here I gave you option 3. So I told you which points, sorry, let's go back a second. I told you there's 3 different ways to do it. Look at each point, which is kind of what we did in the example in the beginning of this class. You can also look at the M and the B, which is what I just did, and then there's this way. So Desmos also has what's called a graphing calculator. So we are going to just copy and paste just the right, actually no, I can do the whole thing with Desmos. I'm going to highlight, I'm going to copy. You guys are also better at memory, so you can actually just remember it. Right click, whoops. I'm going to Control V to paste it, and you see it created it, and it's actually how it created your questions for the class. So you can see right away, we have it at 2, and it's going down, which brings us to choice B as well. You guys are going to do great at this, and I'm really looking forward to grading it later.